Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo, and this is Three Buck Theater. And today we're going to be talking about Robert Downey Jr. signing on for potentially another franchise. Because not only does he have the Avengers movies, which according to him, he's going to be out at some point in time. But you know what? He can't keep himself away. All right, as evidenced by Captain America: Civil War and his part in Spider-Man: Homecoming. He loves that shit. And he's also got Sherlock Holmes, a third one being made at Warner Brothers sometime soon, if Guy Ritchie ever decides to do it. I know he's working on Disney's Aladdin right now, which should be interesting. And there's also this new one here, this Doctor Dolittle, and more accurately, The Voyage of Doctor Dolittle is the movie that Downey Jr. has signed on to be in with Universal. Now, if you guys remember the Doctor Dolittle movie from 1998 with Eddie Murphy, right? That was a remake of a 1967 Disney movie called Doctor Dolittle that was all about llamas and snails, if I remember correctly, and it was a good movie. That was one I watched a lot as a kid. I haven't watched it probably in close to 30 years. I need to go back and watch it again. But it's definitely a fun one, and I enjoyed the Eddie Murphy one quite a bit, actually. The sequel with his daughter having the ability to speak to animals was not as good. I see why they did it, but ultimately I felt Eddie Murphy's version was quite good and quite fun. Nowhere near as good or fun as the original, but it's a Disney movie from the 60s. I mean, that was some psychedelic shit. I think we all can agree on that one. But this new one is being directed by Stephen Gaghan, or Gahan. Gahan, I think, who wrote and directed Gold and Syriana. He also wrote Rules of Engagement, Traffic, The Alamo, and Havoc. Now, those are all dark movies, right? Just kind of like dark in theme and dark in tone. And he's going to be coming on to do this family film adaptation of The Voyage of Dr. Dolittle for Universal. I mean, okay, sure, fine. Interesting to see what's going to be happening with this, because Universal actually won the rights in an intense bidding battle with other studios, probably because it was packaged with Robert Downey Jr. and probably packaged as a trilogy of films. I don't think that Downey Jr. is going to play it too crazy, too over the top. But I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see him in the role. You know, he'll be able to kind of put that Downey Jr. charm and probably a lot of sarcasm with the animals. That's what I assume is going to happen. He'll talk to the animals, and then they'll make a snarky comment to him, and he'll be able to respond in that typical over the top like RDJ fashion. That's going to be a lot of fun. But the movie itself is based off of it's a series of books of the same name in the 1920s by Hugh Lofting. The Voyages of Dr. Dolittle is actually the second book of that series, and it was published in 1922, and it was a long book. And actually, here's the plot line. It says here, together with Jip the dog, Polynesia the parrot, and the 9-year-old Tommy Stubbins, the good doctor sets off in search of his missing colleague. The Newbery Medal-winning adventure recounts the hunt for Long Arrow, the world's greatest naturalist, in treks that range from the Mediterranean and South America to the bottom of the sea. Thanks to the doctor's gift for conversing with animals, the travelers find solution to every challenge, including a curious encounter with a sea monster and a shipwreck on a mysterious island. Now, that probably is what the whole part of the original Doctor Dolittle that came out for Disney, because that dealt with like the island and the snails and shit, like I mentioned before. And it turns out, though, that was directed by Richard Fleischer, and that was actually based on the novels The Story of Dr. Dolittle, The Voyages of Dr. Dolittle, and Dr. Dolittle's Circus. So there is, that was kind of a culmination of those particular stories. And so I'm assuming that we're going to deal with the sea creature and the snails and the fucking, and the island is going to be in the Voyages of Dr. Dolittle. And I'm wondering if they're going to ever do Dr. Dolittle Circus, they're going to continue it going, or if they're going to write off on their own thing. And it's entirely possible. At this point in time, they just want to establish Downey Jr. in the role. Downey Jr. probably wants something that is still family friendly, because I know he does enjoy doing those kind of films as well, and something that he could probably come in as an exec producer, have more creative control in, and also he probably was a fan of the original as well and would like to play the part. So I look at something like this and I think to myself, this is a franchise I can get behind, right? This is a franchise that, for one, hasn't been touched in nearly 20 years. At least it feels that way in terms of the Doctor Dolittle movie that Eddie Murphy was in. But even that was just an adaptation in name only, right? But this one is more of an adaptation of the original source material, which is a fantastical adventure, very similar to, like, you know, H.G. Wells is kind of what I took from that a little bit, maybe a little bit of Frank L. Baum, you know, going back to that particular stylings and that time period. So I really want to see what happens. I'm hoping that that it turns out to be pretty good. And I have a feeling Robert Downey Jr. is going to shine as the character. But I do want to know your thoughts. Is this a series of films you would be interested in seeing? Do you think that rehashing this kind of old material is not going to be the best? Or do you think that Robert Downey Jr. will knock it out of the park? These are things I want to know, so go ahead and write them down in the comments. My name is, of course, Matt Jarbo. This is 3 Buck Theater, and I will talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out.